Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's Monday.
Yep.
Hopefully, you guys had a good Mother's Day yesterday.
Yeah.
If you celebrated it.
We're doing another James Bond. This is a good one.
Yeah.
And who recommended this one was Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zach says you need to see what's this called? On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yes.
Now I had heard from some other James Bond fans just listening to him talk, say that this was their favorite James Bond movie.
Mm-hmm.
And other people were kind of like, nah, he was only in one movie, that kind of shit. And I was expecting kind of like an off-brand James Bond, because this is the only movie he was in.
Yeah.
I watched it, and it's a damn masterpiece, man.
This is a great movie.
Yeah.
Not just a great James Bond movie, but it's just like a great movie, period.
Yeah, really good movie, and it's you can see where they got the newer Daniel Craig James Bond movies from. They came from this.
Well, I think Daniel Craig was a big fan of this movie too.
Same tone, a lot more realism than the other James Bond movies. Like James Bond gets dirty, he gets hurt. He gets his ass kicked. Although he does, I guess Sean Connery got his ass kicked a couple times in the movies that I saw. And the acting is just real good. It's got a really good score. It's real serious, adventurous. I don't remember any James Bond theme coming through, though. Did it have?
It had a theme, but it was an instrumental.
It was an instrumental.
Which I think it might be the only one that has that, although please correct me if I'm wrong. I thought there was one other one that maybe had an instrumental theme.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think that was in there, but as incidental music.
Yeah,
maybe.
It was like ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
Ding. I think it was.
Yeah,
like that.
it was in. Yeah, it was.
And
in
it was
there.
just. It wasn't real epic. It was just more like sinister sounding. It's a great flick. Great flick. If you've never seen this one, you got to see it. As far as the classic Bonds go, the old movies, this is the best one.
I mean, I'm kind of I was surprised how into this one I was.
Yeah.
Because the thing about it, I like a lot of the older, I'm not a huge fan of the Roger Moore ones. I like some of the Sean Connery ones. I really like Goldfinger. But generally I'm kind of more of a fan of the newer ones.
Yeah.
But this one, I was actually really surprised by how much I liked it and how modern it is. It's kind of a shame that they didn't continue in this direction, because the thing about it, I'm not sure if you know, but the guy that directed this movie was the editor on the first 5 James Bond movies, the Sean Connery ones. And he had been second unit director as well. Peter Hunt, his name was. And so he wasn't coming at it from nowhere, you know what I mean? But he wanted to do something different with this one. What happened was that Sean Connery did, the first 5, Bond movies, which started in 1962 or whatever. And then when he got to, I think it was You Only Live Twice, right, which was the one that came out before this one, Sean Connery didn't really want to do it anymore. He's just kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of over this shit or whatever. So it's just, and him and Albert Broccoli, the producer, were not getting along anymore. So, he quit. And so they're kind of freaking out, and they're looking all over the place for a new Bond. Like, how are they going to do this? They're going to have to, reboot the series and shit like that. And a lot of actors came up as, possibilities. English actors, other characters, a couple of Americans. Interestingly, Timothy Dalton came up at this time, but he didn't audition, but they asked him to audition because he had just been in The Lion in Winter, and he said no, he didn't want to do it because he was only 25 at the time, and he's like, nah, I think James Bond should be older. He's like, I'm too young to play it, and he didn't want to follow in Sean Connery's shoes anyway,
right? Because
that would have been, but a couple other names that were bandied around were Oliver Reed. Not sure how that would have worked, but they thought even though he was kind of still
maybe,
yeah. I don't know how that would have worked out.
Oliver Reed scared the shit out of me when I was.
He would have been a more brutish.
Yeah.
I mean, which I guess Sean Connery was too a little bit, but probably more than that though.
Yeah, in the books, he's described as being beat up, looking like a boxer, and I think he actually has. He has blondish hair. I think in the books, which I think. The Daniel Craig is the Daniel Craig version is the only time that Bond is blonde.
Now, see, I thought that the UK tabloids were having a fit when they cast Daniel Craig because Daniel Craig was blonde, and they're like, James Bond has dark hair.
No, in the books he's blonde.
See, I don't know.
I think in the book, if somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to think that I only read one of those books, and it was a long time ago. And I don't remember which one it was. I was like in 8th grade, and I think he was supposed to be blonde.
Yeah, possibly. Like I said,
I remember that I was thinking like in the movies he's always dark haired.
Yeah,
but I think in the books he was blonde.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I have it backwards. Maybe I'm wrong.
I just remember, like I said, this is just a vague memory of the tabloids freaking out because Daniel Craig had blonde hair and they didn't like that. So,
well, he wasn't like that in the movies,
right?
But I think in the books he was supposed to be blonde. But I may be wrong.
And another actor that they were kind of talking about was Terrence Stamp, who actually I think he would have made a fantastic James Bond. And that's General Zod to you. Yeah. Even though he's been in like a million other movies, but I knew that you would know who that was.
Kind of slightly built though.
Yeah, but he went on later. I mean, he would have been pretty young when this came out, but he went on later to be like play a lot of British gangsters. Like he's in this great fucking movie called The Limey, which I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's fucking fantastic. And he was in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
I don't know. Reed probably would have made a decent Bond. He'd have to stay in shape because Reed drank a lot. Reed drank a lot, and he got big around the middle.
He did, yeah. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. But then, like I said, I'm thinking of like Oliver Reed from like Burnt Offerings, which was years later than this. Yeah. But I don't know. But
when he was younger, he wasn't like that. Though.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of blew my mind about this? And I didn't know this. I knew about, James Bond, and this is the only movie that George Lazenby did. But I didn't know that George Lazenby was not an actor. He was a model.
Okay, Tammy Googled it, and he says no, he had short black hair in the books.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought. Right. Okay. That's why everybody was freaking out about him being blonde. Okay. But yeah, so George Lazenby was a model, and he's Australian. He's not British. And I guess there's different stories about how he actually ended up getting this role, but the producers, I guess, had seen him. The only thing he'd been in had been like a chocolate bar ad or something, like in Australia. And he kind of really wanted the role. Like apparently he went to like Sean Connery's barber and got the same haircut and like went and got his suit from the same tailor and all this other stuff. And he's like, he went there and they did like months and months of screen tests. One of the things that is bandied about why they liked him in particular was his physicality. The legend goes that when they were doing like some of the fight scenes, like to see how like a screen test and stuff like that, he knocked out one of the stuntmen because George Lazenby had trained with Bruce Lee. Okay. So he, and that was one of the things that stood out to me when I was watching this movie, that the fights looked real. Like they looked like actual fights. Yeah. Like they looked really well choreographed.
Yeah, and they were also dirty.
Yeah.
Dirty fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, Bond would be like trying to choking somebody out, I think he strangled a guy, didn't he, in the first scene? Didn't he kill one of them by strangling him?
I think he did, yeah.
And then later on in the snow, it was a rifle. It was either a rifle or a ski pole, wasn't it? And he headed it across that guy's neck and was just like crushing it down on his neck, trying to kill him. He didn't die though. He killed him after that. Threw him off a cliff. Yeah. But no, the fights look a lot more real, especially for the time. I remember the first time I saw fights in a movie, and I was in a movie as a kid, and I said, "Boy, that fight looked real." It was Die Hard. Yeah. And that looked real back in those days compared to what they normally gave you. Yeah. You see it now, and it's just kind of standard. But these fights were, I would say, about as good as they were in Die Hard, which you didn't see later until the 80s.
Yeah, you really didn't. I kind of feel like you still had that like leftover stagey fight that it's like where you're just like, how? It's like you can tell, but they were like 6 inches, like 6 inches away from. They weren't really that bad, but you know what I mean. You could tell they were fake. The fights in this one, not only just like the physicality of George Lazenby and like the other stunt performers, but also the way it's edited. Looks really, because the edit in this one is very modern. Very modern. I was actually very surprised at how modern it was.
It draws you in, and it's very fast paced. It pulls you right into the story. There's nothing slow in this movie. It's interesting the whole way through, and it's got a badass villain in it too, Telly Savalas
as Blofeld.
Yeah, one of the famous Greek American actors. Man, he was the man in his day. You know what I mean?
He was so fucking suave.
They said he was just a really cool dude. He was really fucking tough. People liked him, but he was cultured. You know what I mean? They said he'd like to go to restaurants and knew everything about the arts, but he could also, go fishing or like box, fight you and shit. Like he was like that. He was he did a little bit of everything.
Block up.
Yeah. He was tough dude. Everybody loved him. Everybody loved Telly. He's in it as Blofeld, and he sells it, man. He fucking sells it in this, man. He really does seem to be menacing, and he does seem to be
big time.
And he does seem to be a very intelligent supervillain, and he was a lot of gangster kind of mentality to him, and it's just like everything that happens, everything that like his crew does, everything that MI6 does, and then Bond hooks up with kind of like a semi-criminal organization backs him towards the very end because he couldn't get MI6 backing. It's a long story. And it was the girl, he married a chick. And it was her dad was like, he was part of they kind of say he was a division of Spectre. But he wasn't going along with the mainstream Spectre. He thought they were fucked up, I guess. He didn't like Blofeld. But he didn't know much about him, though, either. Remember that?
Yeah.
He knew about him, but he didn't know everything about him. So even the stuff that they conducted an air assault operation through helicopters. They bullshitted their way past security, Spectre security. It was good the way they did it. Realistic. And one of my big gripes about the old Bond movies is that they had boring fucking guns in it. Not this one. This one, man, the audience would be the first time they'd ever see, and most of you probably never heard about it. The Swiss dudes and the Spectre guys were using an STG-57, which was a 6.5 millimeter Swiss battle rifle. It looked like an assault rifle, pistol grip. It looked like something that the Third Reich would dream of. You know what I mean? It looked like something out of Star Wars. 20-round detachable box magazine, and they're shooting them at Bond while they're skiing. They use them throughout the movie, but it was a fine rifle in its day, kind of heavy. But you can look up STG-57. They're in private hands now. It's long retired, but they got guys that shoot them, and full auto versions of them. You couldn't shoot it on full auto. It was a full size rifle round, about kind of like a FAL, but better in some ways. Kind of like the old German. What do they call that thing? German FG-42. I think it was called the FG-42. That Folsomjäger rifle. It was kind of like their version of BAR. But exciting guns in it. All the women were badasses. They were all hot. They were competent. Bond's girlfriend, she could actually race cars and do all kinds of shit. There aren't any damsel in distress kind of generic like you would see in Roger Moore movies. They're all the women in it are good. There's a scene where he goes to this fucking undercover Spectre operation, and they have all these super hot women, young women from around the world. They're being brainwashed to dispense bioweapons. And we're calling them the Angel of Death. And there's a lot of good scenes with that, because Bond does his thing, okay, and gets with some of these girls. But in a typical James Bond movie, Bond just shows up and basically says, "Spread your legs, I'm James Bond, and this is my movie," and he gets the girl. It's stupid, all right? In this one, they show why the girls like him. He talks his way into it.
Yeah, he's undercover. He's acting. He's pretending to be somebody else, like a genealogist.
A lot of good. But the thing is that this Bond, they don't make it easy in this movie. And if he does hook up with a woman in the line of his mission, they show you how he did it and why it worked. It's not just something. Well, I'm James Bond. Roll over. Like that's the way it was in the Roger Moore movies. It was just totally unbelievable.
Which I wasn't a big fan of.
Totally unbelievable. Women don't work that way. You know.
Well, and especially not for Roger Moore, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah.
Like, as he was in that movie, I'm like, yeah, that
this
would not
guy
be working.
actually, he does have some charm.
Yeah, that's the thing about this. Okay, so when we were talking about Telly Savalas, I wanted to go back to that because I had something to say about that. I was giving a preview. Yeah. But I was reading like several other reviews, and you know, a couple of other actors have played Blofeld. Obviously, you had Donald Pleasance had played him in the movie prior to this, and I think Charles Gray played him later on, who is the same guy who was in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Going, it's just a jump to the left. It's that guy. And I think Christoph Waltz play Blofeld in the Daniel Craig movies, if I'm remembering that correctly. But a lot of Bond fans, particularly ones who put this at the top of their list or like in their top 5, also will say, I was reading a comment too, it said, hot take, Telly Savalas is the best Blofeld. And the person underneath that said, I don't really think that's that hot of a take. I think he was the best one by a mile. Yeah. Well, because Telly Savalas, he really seemed like you said, he seemed really charming, but also really menacing. Like, he looked like he could fuck you up. Like, he seemed like he could fuck you up. Another thing I liked about his version of Blofeld, which I don't think you saw too much with the other actors that played him, was that Telly Savalas actually got his hands dirty. Like, when they were chasing Bond, like, on the skis and all that, he went with them. He didn't, like, just say, hey, go catch that dude. No. He was out there on the skis along with all of his henchmen.
Yeah, he led from the front.
Yeah.
All the troops with him.
Which I liked that.
And he sent some troops after Bond, go down there and go get him. They went after there, and then he caused an avalanche and killed them all, right in front of the other troops. And they were just like, yep.
That's some shit he would do. Yeah,
that's how Blofeld rolls. Yeah.
And I also like that he didn't really have that scene where the supervillain explains in detail to Bond like what his plan is. Like, while he has him tied up or he has a laser in his crotch or something like that, he's just like, here's exactly what I'm going to do. But then I'm going to put you in this thing where I give you time to escape and shit like that. This movie didn't really have that. And I kind of admired that they, you know, it still has some Bond tropes in it. There's still like a little bit of humor. There's still like a little bit of quips, but it's not cheesy. It's not like it's cheesy. It's generally taken pretty seriously. And, you know, other than the line at the beginning where George Lazenby actually looks at the camera and says, this never happened to the other fellow, like talking about Sean Connery, because they're like introducing a new, you know, actor. But I kind of feel like I'm kind of glad that they didn't do that. It's not, he makes like funny, you know, he has funny lines, but not like, you know what I mean? Not like Roger Moore, like where I just wanted to roll my eyes. Like, some of the lines he said were actually like funny, like, and I laughed, you know what I mean? But, so I think they did a good job with that. Also, somebody pointed out, because you said that this was like a really fast-paced movie, this was the longest Bond film.
Doesn't feel like it.
Up until, I believe, Casino Royale. Okay. Because it's over 2 hours, which up until then they were not. But there's just a lot different about this one. I think originally, it's crazy that like George Lazenby, like I said, he'd never acted before, which I kind of blew my mind. I did see some people that even liked this movie that thought he was a little bit wooden, but honestly, I didn't
see it.
No, it didn't stand out to me. No. And honestly, like the fact that he wasn't an experienced actor, I think kind of fed into, because they're trying to make like a more human Bond, like a more vulnerable Bond, because he's actually like scared at some points in this, and he falls in love and all this other stuff. He's not like in a mushy, cheesy way or anything like that, but he just seems like a little bit more human. You know what I mean? Like, not quite as sociopathic as like some other iterations of the character, I guess, where they just were unflappable and nothing bothered them and they were never scared and they just did whatever. So I kind of feel like that really, I don't know, I really liked that about his interpretation of the character.
I think the unflappable one you're talking about is mostly Roger Moore, and it's because the tone of those movies is almost
just silly.
It's almost silly, and like anything that happens in that Bond, he's just like, oh well, okay, you know, it happens, and he just gets through it like it's no big deal, with very little effort.
Yeah,
and from what I've seen,
you never feel like he's in danger, right? Or in this, you did.
And the audience never feels Bond's in danger.
Right, but in this you did.
Yeah, and in this one, he nearly gets killed, machine gunned a couple times. He almost gets killed several times.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Well, I have to go up and see it again. He was on the phone and somebody shot the phone booth apart. Remember, he was barely able to escape the phone booth.
There was the bobsled chase too.
Yeah, bobsled chases. Yeah, that was good.
Which doesn't, I mean, the back projection is not great, but that's not just this movie. That's pretty much any movie from this era.
From that time.
Like
right.
the green screening, like
looks
looks like ass, but it's still
for '69. This movie is decades ahead of its time.
I think it was.
This you could release this today under with a retro spy theme, and it would work. Like if you were to make like a homaging the late '60s,
yeah,
you could release this right now, and I think it would work.
I think it probably would too.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's very modern. Like
Yeah.
I was surprised by how modern it was.
Real modern.
I mean, especially like considering that the Sean Connery movies, which are great, but they're dated. They're very much. This is dated too. Like you can tell it's from the late '60s, but just the tone of it.
Kind of adds to it, though.
Yeah, like just the tone of it, it's a lot more like a modern movie. They took it a lot more seriously. This is one of, if not the most faithful adaptations to the book. At least, I haven't read the book, but from everything that I could determine from what I read about it was that pretty much everything that happens in the book happens in the movie, like almost exactly the same. One thing they were thinking about doing in the script, and they ended up not doing it, but because it was a different actor, they were gonna have like a subplot thing about like James Bond like getting plastic surgery, like to look like a different, because it is supposed to be the same. Because there's that fan theory about James Bond 007 is just a code name and they give it to different people.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, this is clearly supposed to be the same dude.
Yeah.
Because he has mementos from like the last 5 movies that Sean Connery was in.
When they introduce him, he goes through a little adventure, and at the end, he looks at at the audience.
Yeah.
Breaks the wall and goes, "This never happened to the other guy."
Mm-hmm.
So they are letting you know that he's supposed to be the same character, but this is a different kind of movie.
Yeah,
it's not going to be as predictable as the other ones, which I loved it.
I thought it was great.
They're just rebooting it. They're basically rebooting.
Yeah,
they're saying, "Yeah, we're gonna continue doing shit, but it's gonna be different this time," and I liked it. And out of all the old Bonds, I put this one up at the top.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one and Goldfinger are probably my favorite ones of the old ones, and I think I might like this slightly more than Goldfinger.
I think so. My overall favorites is Casino Royale, and then underneath Casino Royale would probably be this one.
Yeah, I mean
From
that,
Daniel
like
Craig's
I said, that
Casino Royale.
yeah, the 2006
one. And then I liked Quantum of Solace. That's one of my favorite ones, and then all the Daniel Craig ones in order.
Yeah.
Even the last one, No Time to Die, which had some goofy homaging of the old James
It
Bond.
homaged this one,
yeah,
too.
Yeah, it homaged it. But the thing is that they're giving Daniel Craig a send off.
Yeah.
And they're reminding you of the way the series used to be.
Yeah.
And
I kind of liked that.
I kind of liked it too. It was a bonus movie. You didn't have to watch that one. You could have ended it at Spectre.
Yeah.
But they gave you a bonus movie.
Yeah.
And it's got a...
Like I said, I liked that they were homaging the tradition of the movies.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of sweet. But yeah, so we talked about George Lazenby, who, like I said, he had never acted before. This was his first acting gig. And they actually, from everything I could determine, they actually offered him a 7-film contract. Meaning, had he stayed with this character, he would have been Bond up until, I believe, A View to a Kill. So all of the Roger Moore movies, most of it would have been him. But what happened, evidently, was that I don't really know that he wanted to do the James Bond movies, and then his agent evidently told him that I don't really think these James Bond movies are going to be around much longer. It's very dated. By this time... Well, not only had there been, like, a bunch of other, like, James Bond ripoffs, like, Our Man Flint and all that kind of stuff. There'd been, like, a whole bunch of them and, like, parodies and stuff. And they're like, it's getting old. It's like, nobody wants to see that shit anymore. And so he's like, don't sign on to a 7. You're just going to lose your ass. So, and also, Lazenby was a little bit of, like, a hippie kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And, he was just, I don't know, he just wasn't really into the whole thing. And, like I said, he thought it was kind of, like, old-fashioned. and they were super mad when he went to the premiere and he'd grown his hair out and he'd grown a beard.
Yeah.
And they were just kind of like, James Bond does not have a beard. And they were like, they told him not to do it, but he did it anyway.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you.
So he's like, yeah. So he was supposed to be in another movie. He's supposed to be in Diamonds of Forever, which was the next one. But of course, Sean Connery came back for that one. But because he was not an experienced actor, they needed an experienced actress to be, you know, with him to, you know, kind of lift up the movie or whatever. So of course, they got the amazing, awesome Dame Diana Rigg, who obviously was at this time was very, very famous for being Emma Peel on the Avengers, and she is phenomenal in this. I love her in this. She is beautiful. She is awesome. She is ass kicking, and I like that because this is a movie where James Bond falls in love and marries a woman.
She better be badass.
This has to be an exceptional exception. She can't be just some regular ass Bond girl.
Yeah.
And they really did a good job. I mean, she is fucking great in this.
Yeah.
So, and it's totally believable.
Yeah, she has the skills of a secret agent herself.
Yeah, and I mean, even though she's like the daughter of like a gangster, she's like a countess, right?
Yeah.
She's like a daughter of like a big wealthy countess.
Yeah, her dad owns a big construction company. All right, and they do gangster shit on the side, you know, including like gold heists, stealing shit, bank robberies.
Yeah.
But it's highly organized, and they got a shit ton of money. He's got a whole army of mercenaries. All right, pros too. They show him, and fleet of helicopters and vehicles. He's a he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Definitely. And they're somehow kind of like parallel or somehow associates to like Spectre. But they're not that deep into it.
Right. They're just like on the periphery.
Yeah, Spectre's got a higher fucking goal, like, you know, wiping out and depopulating the planet so they can take over, that kind of shit. This dude, you know, Bond's fucking father-in-law, he's not into that. He's just, you know, wants power and money.
Yeah.
But he wants stability too. And he wants Bond to marry his daughter because his daughter's fucking up.
Well, at the beginning, how they meet is she's throwing herself into the ocean.
Trying to kill herself.
Yeah. and Bond pulls her out.
She can't. Yeah, I think her first relationship, he died, or was that? I don't remember exactly what it was. She got her heart broken, something. She tried to kill herself. Did her first fiance die?
No, I don't remember.
I don't remember what it was. So he knows who Bond is, and he's basically saying, "Well, you basically do me a favor, marry my daughter." And he's like,
she needs a man to dominate her.
She needs a man like you to dominate her. Yeah.
Which he's like, it's that. He's like,
he's Spanish.
I mean,
he's
so
Spanish.
I mean, Bond at this point, like Bond would at the beginning, he's like, I don't really want to do that. You know, I like her and everything, but you know, I'm kind of my lifestyle, his bachelor lifestyle, and all that other kind of stuff. But then, like, he keeps meeting her, and you know, like I said, they do eventually fall in love, and he does like propose marriage to her, like toward the end.
Yeah.
And so, but like I said, so for that to happen, because it's James Bond, you know, this has to be like an extraordinary character, and I think they picked like the perfect person. Yeah. She's easily this, and I even hesitate to use the kind of dismissive term Bond girl because she is like a really good, like, complex character in her own right. Like pretty much his equal in every way. That driving scene, like in the car rally and shit like that, that was amazing. And they said she did a lot of that driving because there were so many close-ups, they kind of had to do it.
Yeah, there's a Bond chase scene. The bad guys chased Bond's car, being driven by his wife, into a racetrack, an oval racetrack. And it was an ice track, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was ice.
Yeah, they were racing on the ice, and there's all kinds of wrecks going on, and they're shooting inside the race. Yeah. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Real good. The way it's shot for '68, you have a hard time believing that they actually got those shots.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because cameras were big, unwieldy things, but they must have been mounted on the front of that car.
They probably were. I think that's what they usually did. They mounted them on with...
Yeah, on the side, because you see some actual action happening. It's a good movie. You know, I want to own it.
And all that shit on the slopes and everything like that, like in Switzerland, that's fantastic. I had forgotten... This movie, like I said, it's a little bit darker than I feel like any of the Bond movies up until we got to the Daniel Craig ones. There is a scene in this where one of the dudes, like one of the henchmen or whatever, falls in, like, it's not a wood chipper, is it?
No, it's a snow blower.
It's a snowblower thing. and he falls in there and basically gets cut out. They kind of show it.
Yeah, pretty much show it.
Like, it was like a horror movie
Yeah,
scene.
and it blows all this red snow out the other side, where he just gets liquidated.
Yeah, and I'm just like, damn.
Yeah, everybody just one of the henchmen did a ski jump through it.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I was like, ew.
through the blood snow. Come out, get us out. But
Sorry, Carl.
It was going so fast it didn't matter.
Right.
Because they have real good action scenes. These are better than the action scenes you see in 80s Roger Moore movies. Better than that. So maybe I'm thinking Lazenby.
It's Lazenby.
Lazenby. I think Lazenby probably did the right thing by saying no. Because to keep it at this intensity, you have to get those same directors, the same writers. And I'm not sure they could have maintained it. Because the broccoli operation went cheeseball quite regularly,
It did, and that was and the thing about it too was that this movie, it got kind of mixed reviews from audiences and from critics at the time.
They weren't ready for this shit.
Well, yeah, they didn't get bad reviews necessarily. A lot of people said, Lazenby's no Sean Connery, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this was back in the 60s. Everybody was used. I mean, Sean Connery at that point was the only actor that had played the role. So somebody new comes in, people are going to shit on him. I get it. And he was not experienced, blah, blah, blah. But even saying that, like, a lot of critics did think it was a really good movie. They're like, wow, the editing was really good. The action scenes were really good. Diana Rigg is amazing in it. All this other kind of stuff. Like, the script is really good. It's really accurate to the novel. But I kind of feel like what ended up happening was that because a lot of people thought that the James Bond movies were on their way out, because You Only Live Twice, which was the one that came out before this, had made like quite a lot of money. Now this movie, this only cost $7 million to make, which blows my mind a little bit. In 1969 dollars, but still. This movie actually was one of the highest grossing movies that year. But it didn't make as much. It only made like half of what the previous Bond film had made.
So it looked like a failure.
Even though it was like one of the best movies, like, highest, earning movies of the year. It still was seen as a failure. And they were like, well, we need to go in another direction. But like I said, they wanted Lazenby to stay. And what ended up happening was that, and spoiler alert for a movie from 1969, Bond's wife, because you knew this was going to happen, gets killed at the end, like right after their wedding, literally. And it's sad. It's a horribly sad, tragic ending. What they were going to do initially, when they thought that Lazenby was going to stay for at least the next movie, was they were going to end the movie at the wedding, and then at the beginning of Diamonds Are Forever, which was the next one, she was going to get killed at the beginning, and then it was going to be like a revenge story.
Now you can see in Daniel Craig's Casino Royale, there's scenes with the way Vespa dies, and they're in Venice and all this. The Casino Royale is homaging this movie. A lot. Yeah. So you can say, oh, okay, I see where they got that. Where they were talking about that in Casino Royale with Vesper.
Yeah, that's Vesper. Yeah, they were homaging this big time.
Yeah, so it's a great movie. I've always heard of this and never saw it, but just kind of considered it to be, that one. That's like the off-brand Bond.
I kind of feel like a lot of people thought that.
Kind of like it's a bootleg Bond, kind of off.
It's not real.
Not real, James. No, man, this bitch is on point. That's the way it should have been. It was ahead of its time.
I think that's what happened. And a lot of people, because like I said, I was reading some reviews of this and like all the comments after, because I was curious because Oliver Harper did a retrospective on this, and I saw like, other Bond channels that covered it, and I was reading some of the comments because I was interested about people's, the way that they saw it. And a lot of people said, when I was growing up, I loved the Bond movies, and I saw it in the video store, but I never rented it because I thought, like you thought, that it's just like, oh, one must not be very good because that guy was only in it one time. And it's like you said, it was like the Hydrox cookie, even though I know that
Hydrox was the original.
Well, I know that Hydrox was the original Oreo, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's
like the store brand. You know what I mean?
It must have been like a knockoff, kind of.
Right.
An inferior product.
Right.
No, what it was too good, actually, for the audiences, if you ask me.
Yeah, it was a little ahead of its time.
It was ahead of its time. The audiences weren't ready for it.
So I kind of feel like
they brought it back with Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
It's that kind of Bond. Yeah.
I kind of feel like now that people have actually watched it, because a lot of people said, well, I never watched it for that, but then like when I watched it later, I was like, holy shit, this movie's great. Like what the fuck was I even thinking? But so I do kind of feel like from what I saw, at least people that commented on videos and articles about this movie, was that it seemed like 95% of the people on there loved this fucking movie, and it was one of their favorite ones. Some of them said it was their very favorite James Bond movie of all time, and most people said it was in their top 5, like easily
top 5.
And I kind of feel like that too. I haven't seen every single one, admittedly, but
we're gonna see more.
Yeah, I mean, I would put this up in the top 5.
I actually want to see Diamonds Are Forever now. What came after this?
Yeah,
and it's supposed to be bad.
I've heard it's not great.
Yeah.
I might have seen it when I was a kid, but I don't remember it.
I've never seen it as a kid.
And they do actually kind of say they do mention the death of Tracy, like Diana Rigg's character.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is it's Sean Connery, so he's just gonna go back to like humping and dumping. Like, and not, he's like, oh yeah, my wife died. That sucks.
Yeah,
Boo-hoo.
fuck all that. Who's this?
But yeah, it's like, oh well.
Yeah.
Sorry, dead wife. Yeah, I kind of feel like it might be that kind of situation, because they had to mention it because it's obviously continuing the same series. But the thing about it is, I don't know. People get like really maybe too wrapped up in the continuity of this because they didn't adapt the books in order. Like, a lot of people have pointed out, there's a huge plot hole on Her Majesty's Secret Service, because when Bond goes to the Swiss clinic or whatever and meets Blofeld, and he's in disguise, but he doesn't have he doesn't have a fake nose on or anything like that. It's still his face, you know what I mean? Yeah. And they're like, well, you met Blofeld face to face in the last movie, like Bond did. Yeah. So now you're pretending you don't know each other, like, and it's all starting over. But that's just because you only live twice, and that the books were not in
I had
order.
seen these in the movie theater since I was a kid. I never even thought of the concept of continuity.
Yeah, I wasn't really all that worried about it.
Continuity, what's that?
Yeah, it was just.
I thought each movie was just kind of like its own thing. Yeah,
like
it's
a
James
standalone.
Bond, and each one that's a little tale, and they didn't have to fit together because the audience of that era didn't expect continuity.
They don't worry about it. Like, nowadays, everybody's like super anal retentive about it, which I get. But back then, they were just like, whatever, we don't. So I think
it's a movie.
Right, it's a movie. Yeah. James Bond is in it. They don't worry too much about it. They're like, hey, you met him last time.
Yeah, do it again.
Do it again.
And I think it's because in television series that they didn't have continuity. They were written so you could watch them in any order.
And it didn't.
And it all made sense. Star Trek was like that. People think that Star Trek had a lot of continuity in it. It didn't.
Not really.
It was never really intended to have a continuity.
I mean, every now and then they would refer back to something like earlier in the season or a prior season, but not usually. Yeah. Like, usually you could watch them in any order and it wouldn't really matter. You can watch them in any order,
it doesn't matter, because they were played on television in any order during syndication, and they were made for that.
Yeah.
They'd refer back, but the continuity was imaginary. Each person that wrote an episode kind of wrote just that episode to be a self-contained bubble.
Yeah.
Now, later on, they started with the triad thing. Now I'm talking about Star Trek. Where it was where the center of the story was Bones, Spock, and Kirk.
Because that's what everyone responded to. Because that's
and
obviously the best thing about their original
that was like season 3 or 2 when they really started with that. I think it might have been season 2. But in season 1, it's just all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
There's no continuity.
Yeah. And like, no one cared. You know what I mean?
Nobody cared. Didn't matter.
Yeah, like Mike brings up the scene we were just talking about where the guy falls in the snowblower and gets all cut up, and then he has the line that says, well, he had a lot of guts.
He had a lot of guts.
But he says it, the way he says it, it's not like super cheeseball. Like, no. Like, it's a funny line, because I was like, surprised by how I was like, wow, they went there, okay.
Yeah, he went like, brr, and he fucking looks
his blood spraying out.
Yeah, and he looks to the girl and goes, he had a lot of guts. But it just went on.
And I was like, okay, that made me laugh. Yeah. Because I love horror themed
a lot of guts.
Like that. Yeah, I was just like, I don't know, I really like that. Yeah. Slasher Fred said the theme song "We'll Have All the Time in the World" is such an iconic song. Oh, it's so beautiful. Yeah, that's Louis Armstrong did a song for this, and I think it was the last song that he recorded before he died, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, it plays kind of over the love montage, which sounds cheesier than what I'm making it sound like, of, James Bond and Tracy, like, falling in love or whatever. So it's like, but it's a great song. It's gorgeous. But yeah, the score to this, I kind of feel like not only is this a lot of Bond fans' favorite Bond movie.
Yeah.
But this is a lot of Bond fans' favorite score as well. I think it's John Barry did the score. Yeah, Graham said it's now considered the best Bond movie by Bond fans. Yeah, a lot of Bond fans think this is the best one, or at least like top 5, top 3.
Somebody mentioned that first Dalton movie though. That was good too.
Yeah.
License to Kill, right? No, it wasn't called License to Kill. I think in the United States, was it? Yeah, it was.
As far as I remember.
No, wait, hold on. What was the first one that he did? Living Daylights. The first Dalton was Living Daylights.
Okay.
I liked Living Daylights. I thought that one was good.
I'd have to watch the Dalton ones again. I don't remember
the second
them.
one I didn't like as much. I thought it went back to kind of like the Roger Moore cheesiness. But Living Daylights, I thought it was great. That one was real gritty.
Yeah.
Kind of like this.
Yeah, like I said, it's really weird the way it kind of was tonally all over the place.
Yeah.
I know some people like, and we talked about this when we talked about
They're different products.
Yeah, when we talked about like Moonraker and stuff like that, it's like some people like that super cheesy, unflappable Bond who's just like smirking all the time and never gets his suit dirty and never looks like he's in any danger.
Well,
and
he's
just
a superhero.
Like, oh, that was easy. You know what I mean? It's like I don't really like that as much.
No. He's basically a superhero at that point.
Yeah, it's just Superman. Like it's not any fun. There's no suspense. There's no like a lot of the jokes are just like dated and like not funny and stuff like that. But like I said, this one has some quips in it, but they're not. I don't know. I don't feel like hearing The Price is Right losing horn like every time like after like after the joke lands like a Roger Moore movie.
In this one, the villain's fucking great. Telly is genius in it.
He's fucking good in this. I like him so much.
It's going back to kind of like a Malthusian cult, very similar to fucking Moonraker. He's got these hotties from all around the world. They show him. He's got them in. It's supposed to be kind of like a clinic for people with mental problems.
I think it was allergies.
Allergies
and phobias.
And phobias, yeah.
And they're using like some kind of weird, like brainwashing.
Yeah. Well, they don't. The girls don't. They're using like subliminal messaging and fucking what do you call it? Yeah, it's like subliminal messaging and transcendental meditation type of deal. And what they're doing is instead of curing them, well, they do cure them of their ailments, but they also turn them into Manchurian candidates.
Yeah.
Where they can activate them under certain secret words that they're waiting to hear, and they'll dispense these bioweapons that they're going to give them. And what the bioweapons do is they destroy food, if I remember correctly, wasn't it?
Yeah, crops and livestock, I think.
And they're like genetically engineered for each one. And what Blofeld's going to do is he's going to get them to give him a shit ton of money to keep him from dropping the weapons, and make him a count? Or no, make him a duke.
He wanted to be a count, right?
Either a count or a duke. He wanted to become royalty.
Yeah.
And he evidently thought his genealogy... That's weird.
That's how Bond got in there. Like, he was posing as a guy named Sir Hilary Bray, who was a genealogist. And he was the guy that you had to call, like, to make sure that you were actually the... whatever royalty you were supposed to be.
So he wanted this agreement from everybody that they were going to give him a certain amount of money every year. Isn't that what it was? And a title.
Yeah.
And he would agree to go off into retirement and never fuck with them again.
Right.
All right. And Bond gets wrapped up in this. All right. And the girls are cool. They're all hot 20s.
I love the one that writes her room number on his inner thigh because he's wearing a kilt.
Yeah.
Like at the dinner table, and then he has a great line, something about oh shit, now I can't remember what it was, but something having to do with stiff. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? They're making like a hard-on joke. Yeah. But it was actually a funny hard-on joke. I thought it was funny.
So he's got about 15 of them in there in this.
Well, there's 12 of them, I think.
12. It's got like 12 of them in there, and they're in this real badass looking late 60s. Almost kind of looks like a lounge.
They got fabulous clothes.
Yeah, I was gonna say they had really good late 60s fashion.
I would wear some of that shit now.
Hair, yeah, on point. Every one of those girls could step out and go to a club today and people would appreciate it. They would, oh yeah, you look great. It was 60s look, but it
yeah,
was,
you could totally
they were rocking it.
that
And
nowadays.
they were all different flavors and colors, man. So he could send them in anywhere in the world, and they could penetrate the security because they were so hot. They just let them in.
Yeah, because of course everybody sees boobies and they're just like,
Yeah.
okay, do whatever
Yeah.
whatever you would like.
But the girls don't know they're being used for this.
Yeah, because like I said, they just
all
kind of put them.
subliminal.
Yeah, they kind of put them in a
Yeah.
weird hypnotic state, like with these
Yeah.
subliminal messages.
Yeah, and not everybody see this movie, so I'm not gonna spoil everything, but it's good.
Telly Savalas like doing the voiceover about the chickens.
Yeah.
Like about because the one girl was allergic to chickens and eggs, which a lot of people are. That's like that's not weird. But I thought that was so funny, like to hear Telly Savalas like over the voiceover. She's like sleeping because he gave her the command like to put her into the trance or whatever, and then he's talking about chickens and I was like, I don't know why I thought that was so funny.
And this whole clinic's being run, and all the girls are being managed by this real bitchy, stiff disciplinarian German.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about her.
Yeah, she had this.
She's great. She's a great character.
Yeah, I liked her. I was like Jenny. She's not my style. You know what I mean? Physicality, but there was just something about her voice and the way she's fucking. She just sounds like a BDSM mistress.
That's what
like
I mean.
Dominatrix.
Yeah, she sounded like somebody
German
that'd be
dominatrix.
telling you to like put on a diaper. And she's gonna,
Now
like,
it's time for you to put on the diaper.
making you eat out of the dog bowl.
Yeah. And
I
I told Jenny, it says, that woman's strangely sexy. I'm thinking about hitting. She's laughing because when you look at her, because she was like,
And I was like, do you want her to whip you, Tom?
she was so opposite.
Step on your balls.
She was so opposite that it came back around 360 and became attractive again. Just something about her.
I get it.
Yeah.
There's one scene too where she's hiding in like one of the girls' beds because Bond goes in there like, hey, like whatever, like Ruby or whatever the girl's name was, and then she's like, Pa, no, it's me, and I was just like, that was a great scene too. I loved that, and he was like, oh shit.
When the girls would do something, like they'd say something, no, you know, she'd shut that shit down. They had to follow rules when she was around.
See,
man.
Tom likes to be bossed
Yeah,
around.
okay,
Don't let him tell you otherwise.
Yes, madam.
Ooh, I like that. I like the sound of that.
Yes, madam.
I'm gonna have to start bossing you around more. That's all. I need to get like a big long, like a riding crop. So when you do something I don't like, I'm just like,
Yeah. You'd be like, yes, madam.
Ooh, you can say that. Yeah, say that
You
again.
like that, huh?
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually.
Okay, all right.
I don't think you've ever said that to me, and I'm just like, oh, I'm kind of into it. But yeah. So, wait, where was I? Yeah, Mike said Dalton's License to Kill is the most brutal Bond movie. I haven't seen that in a long time. I'd have to give that another watch. But yeah, his were kind of more like the modern ones are. But this one is definitely the most serious one of the 60s, of the early era, 60s and 70s, and definitely the one that's most like a modern movie.
So far, I'm definitely liking the off-brand Bonds. I like Living Daylights. I like this one, Lazenby, and then I like the Daniel Craig ones. Man, Roger Moore has not been impressing me so far.
Not really. I'm just not into it. Like, I get why some people like it, but like I said, I think that's more... It just depends on what you like. If you like the funnier, more lighthearted...
Yeah.
Because they kind of did, I mean, he was more of that kind of actor. So
Goldfinger was pretty good.
I liked Goldfinger a lot, actually.
But it was just pretty good.
Yeah. I don't like...
Not good.
I liked From Russia with Love, but not as much as some people seem to like it. I like Goldfinger more.
From Russia with Love...
But I think I like this one more than Goldfinger.
Russia with Love, I liked the little Russian lesbian chick in her 50s.
Yeah, see, Tom's getting all
Yeah,
off on these older, hard...
Ugly women, yeah.
Ugly women that look like they could beat your ass with a whip.
Not her. She weighed about 90 pounds. But she was just mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
See?
she's rubbing on that other girl's leg.
Yeah. So
You
Tom's
also
telling
like
me
it.
Tom's telling me that he wants me to be mean to him. So I can do that.
No.
Um,
You've been mean before. It doesn't work.
it doesn't work when I do it.
Well, it's situational.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Situational.
Yeah, Zach says, Diamonds Are Forever compared to this movie is especially crusty looking and feeling. Yeah, I don't remember if it was Oliver Harper or another reviewer, but they said that the movie that came out after this one, which was Diamonds Are Forever, looks like it was made like 9 or 10 years before this one.
I gotta see it.
So They might have it on Max. This one's on Max. That's where we watched it.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of James Bond movies on. Not all of them, but
I remember it as a kid, but I just remember that Bond got knocked out and they put him in a damn pipe, and then they assembled the pipe. It was like a damn oil pipe, and he walked down in there and ended up somewhere. That's how I remembered it.
Well, now
that's the only thing I remember. That
Graham says Diamonds is a hard watch after watching this one.
is it? Yeah. Man,
Straw Dog says Diamonds Are Forever is the one where Bond drives the moon rover. So fucking bad. Oh, okay. So I must have seen it because I was confusing that. Because remember when we talked about Moonraker, I said I could have sworn that Bond was in a moon vehicle, and it's this one. It's that, or it's Diamonds Are Forever rather. So
Moonraker. The problem with the things like Moonraker was how uneven it is. Had it just been in space and had space theme through the whole thing, it'd have been a lot better. But it was going all over the world, and then it ended up in space. Now, when the bad guys and them trying to wipe out the planet and coming back and Noah's Ark type of deal, I thought that was a good idea, but you didn't get that till the end. They should have just played just with that.
yeah.
But I guess it's for budgetary reasons. They can't give you too much of the good stuff. They have to give you like a lot of the mediocre shit.
Yeah.
Because it's cheaper.
Now, somebody asked earlier about what gadgets Bond has in this one. Not any, really.
I don't think he did.
They were trying to downplay that.
Yeah.
They were going very close to the novel. Matter of fact, they said, like, the director and everybody, he had the novel with him, like, and had annotated, like, written in the sides, like, the book, and he would bring it, like, to the set every day.
Yeah.
So they were trying to make this as close to the book as possible, and it might be the closest one, like, adaptation. But they didn't really... I don't know. It seemed like like I said, they were trying to get away from the more kitschy, like, gadget kind of stuff. I don't really remember him using any gadgets in this one, did he?
So far, when you look at the gadgets, especially in the Roger Moore movies that we've seen recently, they're implausible and laughable. A gondola, an Italian gondola that is also a fucking
speedboat and a hovercraft.
And a hovercraft.
Sure. That makes pigeons go wood what?
Yeah. What the fuck? Yeah. That was stupid.
I can't get past that. I'm sorry, I can't get past the pigeon.
Well, the car with the changing license plates, that was kind of cool.
Well, see, I can see how that would be useful, though.
Yeah, and they said that Lazenby had that, though. Wasn't that in this movie?
It might have been in this movie.
Yeah, the license plates changed. That was his gadget. And each license on the plate was legitimate. It would check out. A police checkout.
Like I said, that's actually useful.
I think it had guns on it, too, didn't it?
Maybe. But see, like I said, a car with guns and changing license plates, that's useful. Yeah. I don't even consider that a gadget. I feel like that would just be like regular standard issue equipment for a spy. I might be getting
that mixed up with one of the other movies.
We have watched a lot of them, like in a short time.
That might have been From Russia with Love, I think.
Maybe because we watched that one not too long ago either. Although I don't know, did we? We didn't review it though, but we did watch it, and I think we watched The Spy Who Loved Me too.
Yeah.
I don't think we reviewed that one either.
Spy Who Loved Me, we couldn't finish it.
No, the one that we couldn't finish was
You're getting confused.
We started watching one and I couldn't watch anymore. It was too boring. But
For Your Eyes Only?
Yeah, I think it was For Your Eyes Only.
Yeah, For Your Eyes Only. We couldn't.
I think I watched about half of that and I was
like, so fucking boring.
I was like, man, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah. I was waiting for Steven Seagal to show up. That's how boring it was.
He was gonna lumber into. Well, no, he would have his stunt double lumber into it, and then they do a close up of his scowling face.
And then the stunt double goes upstairs, and then you see.
And he's like 300 pounds.
And then another take, you
lighter.
You see Steven Seagal's just his fucking nose and above. They got something in the way because they don't want you to see that he weighs 400 pounds.
They don't want to see like his 5 chins.
Yeah,
sure.
So funny.
We're such assholes.
Damn.
You know what I mean? Yeah, Graham says Being Bond is a movie about Lazenby. Tom would get a laugh out of it, made in 2019. Yeah, I heard about that because George Lazenby is still alive.
He's still alive?
I think he's in his 80s.
All right, yeah.
But
well, if you're listening to this, man, you got the best Bond.
Yeah, well, he probably gets that a lot now.
Yeah.
He was kind of like, I don't think he regrets it necessarily, at least from but he's like, the only time I regretted it was when I was broke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
I think he didn't really want to be an actor. Like I said, he was a model and he'd been in commercials and stuff, but I don't really think he wanted to go down that route. So, you know.
You'd have to keep the same team through his whole fucking series, or they would fuck it up.
Yeah, I kind of
He'd be doing Moonraker. You know.
Although, I would argue that he might have been a lot better in it than...
Not with that script.
That's true. That's another thing about... I don't know, man. Like I said, the whole James Bond thing, yeah, that you have to have like a little bit of implausibility, right? Because it's a fantasy movie. It's super spy. But you can't go too far out there. Otherwise, it's just going to get ridiculous. And it's going to be like a parody of itself. There's a reason why the Austin Powers movies are mostly making fun, I feel like, of Moonraker. And, they took a lot of stuff from Moonraker.
And I think the Austin Powers movies were better.
Well, at least they knew what they were.
Yeah.
Like, at least they were trying to be funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel like they were kind of trying to be serious with, like, Moonraker and stuff, and I'm just like, oh my god, knock it off with that
I think
stuff.
Austin Powers is closer to the truth of what the series was.
Yeah, when we talked about Moonraker, I said it's almost like it's a parody, even though it's not supposed to be.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, Tasby12 says Moonraker was awful, but Richard Kiel as Jaws was fun. I will always get it back for Richard Kiel. I always thought he was a cool dude. I think the first time I ever saw him was in that fucking giant caveman movie Ega on MST, which is also a terrible movie. But he always played parts like that because he was a fucking gigantic person. So what else are you gonna do, right? Let's see. We should watch the Jason Bourne film. 2, he is James Bond with a different name, but are fantastic films. Yeah, I don't think I've seen the first one, but I've seen a couple of the Jason Bourne movies.
We tried to watch it and accidentally watched part of the second one first.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh well, shit! What's going on? I don't know."
Yeah, and the copy that we were seeing, man, it looked terrible. It looked extremely 90s. Remember the CG and everything, just the way it looked. It would look bad.
Yeah,
it didn't age well. But that might have just been the copy we were seeing. I don't remember where.
I'd be interested to go
weird.
back because I think I saw one of the later ones and I remember it being good, but it's just kind of like I feel like that's one you need to watch from like the beginning because, like I said, nowadays they're more concerned about continuity and getting all the details right and stuff like that. Back in the 60s and 70s, they didn't really give a crap about that because maybe they thought everyone was dumb or they weren't paying attention.
Each movie was basically standalone. They didn't need that. They didn't need continuity.
But the
audience didn't demand it back then.
Right, I guess not. Like I said, it's just like, eh. Or like I said, I kind of feel like they maybe thought people weren't that bright.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason why the audience didn't demand it. They weren't that bright, or they didn't care.
They didn't care.
They didn't care. People were going to the movies just to be entertained. It didn't have any. It didn't have to have continuity or anything. Just as long as it was a good tale. They suspended their disbelief. They paid the money. They paid the money.
Which I'll do that too. Yeah. But I'm just saying, if I'll forgive a lot of stuff, actually. But you can't go too egregious with it, other it's going to take me out of the story.
Some of these Bond movies that I've already reviewed, I saw them in the theater when I was a kid, 13, 14, 15, 16. And they were great at the time. I see them now, and I'm like, ugh. But tastes were different back then, and the audiences were different. Your expectations were very different.
Yeah.
And it was a more forgiving audience back then.
True, that's true. Yeah. Like I said, everybody's kind of got to stick up their butt nowadays, but
we know better now.
That's true. Like I said, I'm not
really good series now.
Yeah, like I'm not saying because honestly, as classic as a lot of old movies are, and I love old movies, but I kind of feel like as far as sophistication, storytelling, stuff like that, I think modern shit is like a lot better.
We just
generally, not always.
We just watched Fallout series season 1. Great fucking series. People are saying, is it good? Yeah, they're DMing me. Is that good? Yeah.
It's real good. Yeah, it's real good.
If that series had come out in 1977, there would have been no Star Wars.
Yeah, probably not.
No. No, that would have walked all over fucking Star Wars. Even without a video game. Wouldn't needed it. Everybody would have liked that. If it looked just like that with those special effects, and that's it. No, in 1977, people would have been blown out of the fucking water. And you wouldn't release it as a series. You release it as a movie,
like a trilogy of movies or something.
Like 9 movies.
Yeah, because I think it was 8. I think it was 8 episodes.
Yeah,
which were like an hour each or something.
Okay, you can re-edit it.
So it's 8 hours.
You kind of like you could releasing this like 6 movies or something.
Yeah.
And no, man, Star Wars would have never existed. It had come out and nobody even paid attention to it. Yeah.
Well, you know.
And it's because of the timing.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with
right.
a lot.
A modern series, they've learned, if they're well written and they're done right, they've learned from all the mistakes of all the other movies and all the other series that have come prior to it. So it has the advantage of it has the advantage of like 30 years of cinema and fucking storytelling.
Well, more than that.
More than that, yeah.
But yeah.
More than that. 40, 50 years now. 40 years. So.
Or 100 years if we want to go back to the silent era.
40, right, yeah. They have. So they.
120 years.
So, you know, Fallout didn't make any mistakes. There's no mistakes in it.
They did everything exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah, and it's based on those video games, and they captured it perfectly. The tone, subject matter, fucking the CG, the way the world looked, the armor, all the weapons,
well,
the acting, the characters.
One of the cool things about
racial makeup of the people. Because if you look at Fallout, it's 2250. Everybody's mixed, and a lot of black people, white people, Hispanic people, all in the same movie, and it's in a 1950s setting. If you didn't have the context of the movie, you'd say, what the hell, is this DEI gone crazy? He says, no, it's the way the video game was. Because it's like 2250 something.
Because it's the future.
It's the future. Yeah.
Well, the thing that I liked about it was that, one, I think that if you didn't really... I mean, I think you're going to appreciate it a lot more if you at least have a passing familiarity with the game. But I don't necessarily think you need to have that to enjoy the series. I think you can just watch it on its own merits. No. But another thing I liked about it was that it got the exact tone, the exact look of the game, but it didn't feel like fan service. If that makes any sense. Well, like, it didn't feel like they were, like, looking at you going, hey, look at this thing from the game that you like, wink, wink. It didn't have that tone to it at all. It just seemed very organic.
Yeah, they showed you things from the game that you liked.
Yeah.
But it was all in service of telling you a good story.
That's what I mean. Like, they didn't just shoehorn shit in there just to be like, hey, look at this neat thing. Right. You know what I mean? It didn't have that to it. Because I have seen some things that did that, but...
Yeah, I was, skeptical. Because, it's about video games. Anything from a video game fucking sucks.
No,
not this one.
No, this is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that... I think that was maybe true a long time ago. Yeah. But nowadays, I don't think that's any more true than anything that's adapted from any other medium, to be honest.
That series, I just re-downloaded fucking Fallout 3 and going through that.
Yeah, shit, Saturday night. We didn't go out Saturday night because we went out Friday night. So it's like all of Saturday night, I was just sitting there drinking, like kind of on my phone, and like he's just playing Fallout 3.
Yeah, she loves the sound.
And I was kind of watching. Well, yeah, I like the sound of it. It's very relaxing. Yeah. Like I like all the sound direction. Okay, so I got kind of behind on the comments. Yeah, Straw Dog says, I forgot about this. Bond used that high-speed copy machine or whatever. That's right. Like when he broke in. We were talking
about it when it was
happening. When he broke into that office and was copying all those. Like it was kind of like about that big, right? And it kind of hooked up, and it was almost like a mimeograph kind of machine.
It was a very early Xerox.
Yeah, and I was like, woo, back in 1969, people were like, wow, you know what I mean? Nowadays, it's like, oh my God, that thing's fucking giant.
Another thing that was brilliant is that they gave him a gadget, and it could crack a safe combination.
That's right, he had the safe cracker.
He could put it on there. He put it on there, and it was like a little computer, and it could figure out the combination. And had that been Roger Moore, he would have put that thing on there, and then boom, the safe would have opened instantly. Not in this one. It took time, and he's sitting there waiting, and it goes bink, and every now and then it'll bink. It would get the number for the combination.
Yeah, he had to hang out.
He's reading Playboy during that time.
Yeah, he's like he found one in the basket. He's like, all right.
Yeah, he broke into that office.
Nice.
Okay. He broke into that office to do that. So there's like a danger he could get caught, and this thing's taking time. And that was brilliant for them to do that.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because for Roger Moore, everything seemed very easy. So, like I said, there's no suspense, but he breaks into this dude's office. The dude's on his lunch break.
Yeah.
Like, he snuck in there when the dude was on his lunch break. So he's coming back in half an hour or an hour or whatever. Yeah. So he goes in there, he hooks all the stuff up, he opens the safe, and it took, like, a long time. And he had to kind of sit there and chill out, read the Playboy while he was waiting, like...
Yeah, and he steals the centerfold.
Yeah.
Walks out with the centerfold, like, I got your centerfold, bitch.
But I like that sounds like so cheesy when you say it, but the way it came across, it didn't really come across as cheesy. It just kind of came across as...
It's kind of a fuck you to the dude.
Yeah.
I got your centerfold.
Like, I guess they didn't really draw a lot of attention to it, because it's not like he was, like, smirking or making comments about it.
No.
He was just kind of sitting in the office hanging out going, oh, look, Playboy. And then he was just, like, looking at it and going, oh, okay, that's doing that thing. And blah. It's like, oh, that's nice and blah, blah. And then he just, like, shook it out and left. It's like,
he just shook
I just thought that was so funny. Just the way that it came across.
He wasn't even hiding it. He just had it folded, and he's walking down through the office. Everybody's walking around. He's got a centerfold folded up in his hand like that. He didn't give a shit.
And then the dude's coming back from lunch or whatever.
The guy comes back,
But like I said, so you can make jokes like that in Bond. You can, but it's all in the delivery. It's all in the way that it's put across. And it's just, it was funny when he did it. Like, if Roger Moore had done it, I don't think I would have found it funny, because it would have been cheesy.
We're going to do all the Bonds. We're going to do as many of them as we feel like it.
I mean, yeah, it depends. Because, we've been in kind of like a Bond headspace lately. And like I said, there's a whole bunch of them on HBO Max.
And I do like them. I even like the bad ones. They're fun to watch.
They are, mostly.
Yeah, except when they got boring. That For Your Eyes Only got boring. It got boring and mushy and romantic. I'm like, nah.
Which this one has that, too. This one actually has a love story.
This movie's hard, though.
But it's not mushy. And, actually, the love story in this one is actually quite touching. I thought it was, really well done.
It was more realistic.
And, and like I said, when she dies at the end, I was really upset. I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, Bond can't have a wife.
Yeah, I know that. Well, obviously, you knew what was going to happen, because I'm sitting there going, at the wedding at the end, I'm like, they're not going to end it here. She's going to get killed. But everybody knows she's going to get killed. But even though you know that it's coming, when it happened, that scene at the end, when she gets shot, because she just gets shot, they're leaving, on their honeymoon, and they're in the car, and it's all with the flowers and everything. And she's still in the wedding dress, and he's in the tuxedo and all that, and they're driving along the road, and, fucking... What's his face?
Knocking lights over, huh,
Blofeld and the lady that Tom wants to whip him are in the car, and they go by and they just shoot at the car, and Bond doesn't know, but then he gets back in the car and she's dead, she's been shot right in the fucking forehead, right? And then the scene after that, where she's just in his lap and he's talking about, and he says something about, she's just resting or whatever. That was so fucking sad.
Yeah. Now my mom is a James Bond fan. She likes Roger Moore. That cheesy shit. She fucking loves it. Years back, though, I showed her Daniel Craig.
The Daniel Craig one.
And she got hot on Daniel Craig.
How can you not? Everybody's hot on Daniel Craig. Man or woman. No one can resist.
After I saw this one, I told her about it. And she goes, oh, yeah. Because I told her, I said it came out in 1969. And she goes, oh, yeah, I remember that movie. Me and your dad went to go see it. I was pregnant with you. Your dad loved that movie.
So you saw it when you were in the womb.
Yeah.
Wow.
She said, your dad loved that movie. And he wanted James Bond to be like that, but he was mad when that guy didn't come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get why he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't want to, but I would have liked to see him kind of grow into the role.
Yeah.
Even though I think he's great in this, especially for somebody who had never acted before.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I never would have thought that. Just the different dimension he gave to Bond in this. Like I said, I think the fact that he was an inexperienced actor, I think actually helped.
A lot like Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
A lot like Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig is definitely inspired by this.
Well, like I said, Daniel Craig is a big fan of this
movie.
Yeah. And I think they use some of the music from this movie in Casino Royale too, I believe.
It's a classy movie. It's very well made. It's the cinematography, the way it's shot, the editing. It's just fast paced. It's serious, but it does have fucking exhilarating shit. There is humor.
Gorgeous looking too.
Yeah,
cinematography is beautiful.
It's got everything you expect from a James Bond movie. There's this couple movies that I can think of the old ones that delivered. This one, that first Timothy Dalton movie, I like that one. That was what was that? Living Daylights. I thought that one delivered. Goldeneye, the very first one with that one dude. I thought that movie delivered. I thought it was really
A lot
good.
of people like Goldeneye.
Yeah, Goldeneye was really good.
Pierce Brosnan, right?
Pierce Brosnan, yeah. As far as Sean Connery, so far the best one I've seen, I think, was Man with the Golden Gun. Is that the Goldfinger?
Goldfinger, yeah.
Goldfinger, yeah. Goldfinger's the best one I've seen so
Man with
far.
the Golden Gun, I think, was.
I've only seen two.
Was Roger Moore.
I've only seen two with him. Saw Goldfinger, and then I saw From Russia with Love. They were both good.
Yeah.
But I got to give it more to Goldfinger.
I think I liked Goldfinger slightly more.
But they were both good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see more Connery. I know he's got good ones out there. I want to see.
We'll watch Diamonds Are Forever.
That's Sean Connery. Supposed to be shitty, man. But I want to see a shitty Sean Connery one too.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's just I kind of feel like I don't really know what the deal. Like I said, after You Only Live Twice, Sean Connery was like, "Fuck this! I don't want to do it anymore." And him and Cubby Broccoli were not getting along, so he left. So that's why they got Lazenby. But then, like, after, I don't know, like, why Sean Connery wanted to come back, because it seemed like he did a few more movies, and then it seemed like he was kind of the later ones kind of phoning it in, like, so a lot of people thought. So I don't know. Like I said, I'd have to see Diamonds Are Forever, and it is supposed to be in continuity with this one because they do mention Tracy dying in the previous movie. Because that was supposed to be the beginning of the next movie if Lazenby had come back as the character. But he did not. But yeah, I mean, if you've never seen it, because like I said, you think it's like store brand Bond, or it's just like, oh, it's just that one, the only one that guy was in. Like, I kind of always thought that too, like it was just like the outlier. But honestly, I think it's one of the best ones, if not the best one. Like I said, I really like
definitely top 5.
I really like the Daniel Craig ones and stuff like that too, and I really like Goldfinger. But it's just kind of like. This one, I don't know, man. I really liked this one a lot. Like, I was just riveted the whole time. I was really into it. I got really emotionally involved, which I don't usually. Yeah. And I think that was more, like I said, because he still seems like a tough guy. Like I said, he looked like he could actually fight.
Well, he could actually fight.
He could actually fight.
It looked like that dude would really kick your ass doing that.
Yeah, and he was a little bit like rougher, but he was also kind of like vulnerable. And I liked that. I think that's what people like about the Daniel Craig one, too, is that he gets his ass beat. He does actually have feelings. There's
repercussions for all those movies piling up on him, all those injuries.
Yeah, which, like I said, I think people relate to that more. Yeah. Like you said, like Roger Moore, it just kind of seems like a bit of a lark.
Yeah.
Like, he never seems emotionally affected by anything. He never seems like everything's just kind of a joke.
Well, when you see a character like the Daniel Craig flicks, you're seeing a dude that's being beaten up movie after movie after movie, and it's piling up on him. It's getting worse. He's seeing the writing on the wall. He knows he's not going to make it. And in the end, he does die. It's kind of inspirational for a dude. You're like, well, shit. What I'm going through now, that's fucking sucks. But that's nothing compared to what fucking
look at
Bond
what that poor bastard went through.
Yeah, like,
God damn.
If he can do it, I can do it. That kind of shit. I'm going to make it. I love those times. And we laugh about them. But there's a lot of truth to that. Me and my fucking dudes getting through bad shit in the Army, up in Korea or the Middle East, 1st and 506, 1st 327. Movies and legends kept us going. Because those
that's
stories.
Why people love them.
Right, yeah. They're like, this ain't nothing like, fucking Dutch and the Predator. Imagine if that happened.
Look at that bullshit.
Like, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can end up like Billy out there with the fucking on the log with the fucking machete, and people know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
They know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, and the weird thing, I don't think it's just dudes, because it's like, why do you think I like horror movies so much? Because it's like, you can't complain about your life too much, and then you watch a horror movie and be like, well, at least that shit's not happening to me. Holy fucking crap.
When it comes to female action heroines, I would say Furiosa from Fury Road. That was a great female character.
I love that fucking movie. We've seen that movie like at least a dozen times at this point.
Ripley in the first two movies. Ellen Ripley in the first two Alien movies was another one.
Yeah,
female character in the action genre. Now the new Furiosa movie's coming out. it looks good from the
trailer looks
from the
good.
trailer, and it's the same director.
And I love
same
Anna Taylor-Joy.
team. And I was thinking when you could go back in the record when we reviewed the movie on this channel. As soon as that movie was over, me and Jen were like, I said it to Jenny, I'd like to see a movie about Furiosa.
I think everybody did. Yeah, we both said that. I was like, I want to see a whole movie about her.
Right, yeah. Because I thought that was a cool character.
Yeah, she's fucking great.
And some guys will be like, yeah, but that's not Mad Max. It's in the Mad Max universe.
Sure.
Max's story was told. It's in Mad Max 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Road Warrior. His story's kind of told. You can revisit it later in another way. I kind of think they kind of should, because there isn't enough of Max in his Interceptor. All right. There's some of that in Road Warrior, which is part 2. But there's not enough. There should be a spin-off movie. I think that'd be really cool. But the Furiosa movie, I think, is going to be very good.
It looks badass, like from the trailer. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Because I fucking loved Fury Road. Like I said, we've seen it.
Let's hope it doesn't let us
a bunch of times.
I hope they follow the same format, the same style as Fury Road, where it's basically one long chase scene, one long action scene, done from a storyboard. It's really what it should be. But we'll see what he does. I know Morton Joe's in it when he's as a young man.
Yeah, because it's a prequel.
In it. Yeah, it's a prequel. So that'll be cool too. I want to see some more of Morton Joe.
Yeah, like how that whole situation developed and stuff like that. Like I said, that'd be fascinating.
I had the free comics that they kind of gave out around the movie. Remember that?
Yeah.
Little free comics. And Morton Joe was a Australian Special Forces guy.
Yeah, that's
right. How they started out. They were after the apocalypse. Him and some of his dudes were trying to make a kingdom, basically. And they stole that big water aqueduct and that oil well that was near it, and then in a place where you could make ammunition, they took over. So that's probably what it's going to be about. And I take it that Furiosa was with him.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
She's dressed all in warrior garb and stuff.
CB said before getting the Bond gig, Daniel Craig played bad guys in films. Yeah, I remember seeing him in several British gangster movies. I remember him from Layer Cake, which I think I saw in the theater, now that I'm thinking about it. Phantom says, Slumber Party Massacre trilogy has great female heroes. That's right, it does. I agree. And also says Resident Evil franchise. Alice is a great female hero. Yeah,
I've never seen it.
The first one was good. I kind of feel like I saw some of the other ones and I didn't like them as much, but I know a lot of people like the Resident Evil movies. I'm not like a big fan though.
All right, so have we covered it all?
I think, was there anything else that I needed to talk about? I know
movie's got 3 thumbs up. And there's only 2 of us.
Yeah,
So, 3 thumbs up.
Well, we have 4 thumbs technically. 4,
yeah. This is a great flick. I want to buy it. I want it on.
I would absolutely watch this again.
Yeah.
Because
I want to see the extras.
I just liked everything about this. And like I said, there's a recent documentary that a couple of people brought up called Being Bond, which is about George Lazenby, and I would actually be interested to see that as well because, you know, just everything that I read about the behind the scenes stuff, he was apparently a little bit difficult behind the scenes too. Like not like Oliver Reed difficult, where it's like showing up plastered drunk every day, but
handing people the fifth. Here, hold my fifth.
Here, hold my fifth while I do my scene.
Let me do this scene and I'll be back. You're looking so lovely tonight.
I'm sure that was exactly.
Don't move. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Who bought you those shoes? I love you. I'll be back in 10 minutes. You didn't know I could do all of it.
I know. I could totally see you doing that.
Yeah.
But no, more in the sense of he was kind of what did they call him? They called him a free spirit. Like I said, he was a little bit of a hippie. Mm-hmm. So you know, he'd be like on his off time, he'd be like riding around on like speed bikes and shit like that. And they were just kind of like, can you not? Like, you have insurance issues and you're gonna do this and that and the other. But you know what I mean? They couldn't really tell him what to do. And I don't know if I heard that him and Diana Rigg did not get along, but I don't know if that's the case because I think he came out later and said no, that wasn't true. But the legend was that she didn't really like him, but I don't know if that's true or not. That might have been just to later on to stir shit up. Let me see what else. Phantoms also says Gina Davis in The Last Kiss Goodnight is a pretty good female hero. I don't remember. I remember seeing trailers and shit and commercials and stuff for that movie when it came out like a million years ago, but I don't think I ever saw it. I like Gina Davis though. But yeah, all right. So yeah, if you haven't seen, if you like the Bond movies, especially the older ones and the Sean Connery ones, and you haven't seen this one just because, like I said, you think it's like off-brand Bond or whatever, please see it because it's really, really good. And like I said, it's really much closer to the modern ones than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Much
it's not
closer.
off-brand. It's on point.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It's still got Bond stuff.
Yeah.
Like all the Bond stuff in it, but it doesn't have
no cheese.
The cheesy Bond stuff that I don't like.
No. And Telly's the best Bond villain I've seen so far.
Like I said, a lot of people think he's the best Blofeld. Because there's been like 4 actors, I believe, that have played Blofeld over different movies. And a lot of people, Telly Savalas is their favorite. And I could totally see, I mean, Telly Savalas always seemed like such a cool fucking dude anyway.
Yeah.
And he's a great, great villain in this. Like I said, he really seems like he seems very menacing, but also like super charming. Like, but he absolutely feels like he would pull your head off if you pissed him off, for sure.
Oh, he definitely feel like he'd kill you.
Oh, yeah. Like, not lose sleep over it at all. But yet, he still seems like a cool, like a charming dude, which is a hard thing to pull off, but he does it. All right, so I guess we're going to wrap it up for this evening. Thanks, everybody, for dropping by. Tomorrow, I'm probably going to put up a... What? Pookie just went... No. Tomorrow, I'm going to put up a review of... Oh, was it? Yeah. Sounded like the cat. Tomorrow I'm going to put up a review of the Alex Garland film Men, which came out in 2022. So I've got that all ready to go. I'm going to put that up. And then on Wednesday night, our main show is going to be about Bass Reeves, the real Lone Ranger. So we're going to be talking about Wild West, and it's going to be a really fun show because this dude is an awesome, really interesting, like, historical character who I feel like, I mean... You know, I feel like most people know about him nowadays, but it might just start be like kind of seeping into mainstream culture or whatever. But yeah, I'm excited to do this show because this dude is like super badass and I just want to talk about him. So yeah, so that's what the show is going to be Wednesday night. So hopefully you guys can join us for that. So thank you everybody for dropping by this evening, and we'll see you guys again on Wednesday night. Good night.